So let me tell you about my story. Out of all the symbols that humans are created, this is my favorite one because that's what I believe that is distinguish us from other animals. So technically, what we're doing as an entrepreneur mindset is we solve a problem. And it's the main things that I really want to encourage everyone is think about what a problem I'm solving. When you're solving a problem means you're creating a value. Then it means that the people will pay to have that value. So that's very, very crucial. So let me tell you about the question I tried to answer was. So in 2016, I was doing PhD at Auckland University. I had almost my first startup focusing on business intelligence software solution, technically making old Excel file look cool for the CEOs that they can go to board and present that, hey, our sales increasing every month. But all of a sudden, I got a disease called mini ear. And because of that, you lose hearing in one ear and you get vertigo attacks. It's personally very challenging to deal with it because I heard from doctor there's a chance of getting other ear effect as well. But it was more annoying when I figured out in our school, we don't have any deaf students doing PhD in electrical engineering. I look at the startup ecosystem, high-tech startup ecosystem, we don't have any deaf co-founders. Why is that? There is no correlation of being smart or being deaf. But what's going on? So I was furious. I went to the Deaf Education Center at Kelston, and I said, what is going on? And they came back to me and said, well, we don't have enough teachers who know sign language. I said, okay, import them. I'm an immigrant. New Zealand need more engineers. So if we bring more engineers, bring more teachers who know sign language, problem solved. Like down. Said, that's not a very smart idea because each country has own sign languages. So if you're from Iran, Sweden, or Lebanon, or anywhere else, and you've been trained to teach deaf kids, you cannot work in New Zealand. So, okay, that makes sense. There's a new concept called online education. And we have a technology called closed caption. We provide subtitle for everything. Went down. So, no. And I asked why. And I figured out, first of all, deaf kids cannot read. Second thing is, if you're born deaf, even though in New Zealand, English is your second language, you will learn it. Because we, as a hearing people, we learn a language by hearing it. But if you're deaf, how would you learn English? So they will grow up later, then learn English, which means the literacy age for deaf communities is lower than hearing one. And we don't know, we always think that, closed caption might be the perfect solution, which is not. Then I learned my biggest lesson in my life is knowing the problem is the half of the solution. So on the entrepreneurial mindset, thanks for teaching us a lot of this, is try to understand the mechanic of the problem that you're solving. Always look at the lens of what a problem I'm solving and how can I provide the value. That's the mindset that I really encourage, that I learned from Auckland University, that all of us need to develop personally. So I said, okay, maybe we start working with Kelston Education. You guys know the problem. I'm a tech guy. Let's come up with a solution. And how can I help? So I went with this mindset. And they said, well, if you could develop a teacher who can sign, available 24/7, that's a really, really good idea. And we did this. Yay. So that's fantastic. So I was so proud. We went to the Deaf Club. We showed this, and we get a huge pushback. They hate it. And I asked, why? And they said, look, this avatar doesn't have a facial expression. Sign language facial expression is so important that we have our own grammar. So then I was looking at what's going on. So back in old days, because when we started the company in 2017, there are other people in Europe, America doing almost the same thing. That's where they are at when we start the company. That's where they are at now, right? if you look at the pattern, they're all just following the same pattern. Like look at the facial expressions, not expressive. And the reason is because we are engineers, we like to wear the headphones, we don't want to talk to customers, we want to develop because we know things, which is a very, very wrong concept. And all the books, for example, been such as the lean approach always emphasizes the constant engagement with the customer. So we said, okay, let's really solve the problem let's do something really innovative here. And interestingly, fun fact, I haven't checked it, but I know it by heart, is in New Zealand, we have the highest number of avatar company per capita. Can somebody fact check that? But I really believe that. So we have enough resources in New Zealand to do really crazy. And this is what our avatars look like now. His name is Alan. He's doing New Zealand Sign Language at the moment. And when we sent this to the dev community, people said, so what? Just send a random person to me to sign. I said, it's not a random person, it's a digital human. So there we get all the attentions of, okay, what we can do next. And for example, this is one of the projects that we do. One of my favorite book is called The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Towards the end of the book, spoiler alert, is the part that the caterpillar becomes a butterfly. So you can see how expressive the sign language is. So we consider sign language as a treasure of New Zealand, that how we can keep recording it. When we were starting the company, we were actually had one of the very good storyteller in New Zealand Sign Language who unfortunately passed away. The people said if we could use our technology, we could have that storytelling element forever, which is so cool. So this is our team vision. So we said, okay, let's see how we can make everything accessible in the sign language. Let's make sign language so accessible that everybody will feel the same. So that's our goal set that we dream to do every day. And we did a couple of other projects. For example, every time government new level in pandemic, with our tech, we can provide immediate access to that, how to give the informed deaf community as well as the hearing community. So yeah, thank you.